All right, welcome, boys and girls, to another episode of the IDP Plus podcast, which is officially sponsored by the wonderful company we know as Trophy Smack. So, Trophy Smack has some awesome products for your leagues as far as championship belts, trophies, rings like Super Bowl rings, and they now even I've seen they have really cool like for your losers of your leagues, like loser merch, toilet seats, bodysuits, like all sorts of really fun stuff. So if you head over to good old trophysmack.com, enter the code IDP guys, and you will get a free championship ring with your order. So all this stuff is customizable, the belts, the trophies. You see Matt has a belt there. It is awesome stuff. So they are the official sponsor of the IDP Plus pod. So we welcome you to week 13, and I am Steve Tomasin, aka Dicey Santa, joined by my handsome co-host Matt Record at Record 21. Matt, we made it to week 13.
We sure did. It's almost playoff season. It's this playoff push. As I say, if
Mm,
you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. But check out this belt. This
mm,
thing is legit. These things are
mm.
cool as all heck. For those of you listening to us on any of the streaming platforms, head over to trophysmack.com. Check these things out. They are for real. I,
They
for
roll.
one, would like to win one of these in one of my leagues this year. And, week 13, we're getting there. We are getting there. A lot of fun stuff to unpack.
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually just switched over to a Trophy Smack trophy for my
Oh,
20 plus year running home league
hmm.
because it's got so many like spaces that you can add on to. I thought that was really cool. So absolutely, they've got great stuff over there. But yeah, we're gonna jump right into week 13, starting with the Thursday night game, the Seahawks, and there we go, and the Cowboys. You'll notice the sheets have a couple additional pieces of information this week. I thought I'd throw on there that could help everyone who's viewing on YouTube, and then audio. We could touch on some of the points here, but I've added in our what we predicted to be the start sit tier of these guys. So if you're familiar with our content, especially the written content, which is only for subscribers, we every week our chart we put out, we basically have 4 tiers of players: your studs, your solid starting options, your Hail Marys, and your no thanks. So just kind of, I guess, almost like an accuracy thing to go along here with how they actually finished in points, along with the matchups that were leading up to the week. So how many snaps on offense, defense, and the points given up to the position. So with Seattle here, we saw Tariq Woolen come away as the number one scorer at corner. We saw Bobby Wagner have a really great game, doing his thing with tackles, 14 totals, 7 solos, with one of them being a TFL. We saw Jordan Brooks start off with a really nice game, had a sack early, but went down injured. So we're going to have to hope that Jordan Brooks is able to bounce back. I don't think it was anything crazy serious, but that is why you're going to see, well, did Devin Bush actually do anything in relief duty? Not totally sure. So yeah, Devin Bush plays 65% of the snaps, comes away with a whopping 5 fantasy points there on
Hot
2
dang.
tackles, 2 solos. So yeah, we don't even have him highlighted as a waiver wire edition. We actually don't have anyone for this game. So again, for the YouTube people, we will have highlighted players in red as potential IDP waiver wire pickup. So I didn't really. There's not. Yeah, Matt, overall, week 13 to me just felt kind of cruddy for both offense and defense, fantasy wise. Like, we had a crap ton of people go down injured on offense. Of course, defense, people went down. I don't think anybody was lost for the season or anything like that. And it just felt like, some of these games were not very high scoring at all. So, like, I don't know. This just felt like a very crappy week, fitting for week 13.
Yeah, scoring was down other than, obviously a few outliers here and there. So yeah, this particular game, we've always loved Tariq Woolen when he's healthy, right? He was a star last year, played 98% of snaps. Like, love that, especially in those
Yeah.
cornerback required leagues. Definitely a streaming candidate. I will always be happy when my rookie cornerbacks do well. Devin Witherspoon also put up a nice outing.
Yeah,
But a lot of
another
this, look at
great
these
game.
snap counts, right? Like this game, talk about, one of the few games where offense was king.
Mhm.
So many heckin' snaps.
Yeah.
Reek Woolen or Bobby Wagner played 100% of snaps, 89.
Mhm.
89. That's like 20 or
Yeah.
so more than you'd expect for an average game. Then even on
Yeah.
the other side of the ball, the Seattle defenders or the Dallas defenders were playing what, 68? Is that
Yeah.
or 70
Uh,
or 60 something?
Stephon Gilmore, 69. Nice.
Nice. So there's a lot of volume stats here. This is one of our higher scoring games. In terms of anyone you could potentially look at for a waiver wire pickup, I've always loved me some Osa Adigizua. Played
Mhm.
62% of snaps. He's currently the 20. And the scoring that you're seeing here is the same that we use in our charity tournament that we run every year. The IDP guys Invitational. He's currently the 22nd overall defensive tackle. I know that's not a whole lot, but next week is the last week of bye. So if you do need someone to throw in there, you can do far worse than him. But otherwise, yeah, this game, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned that Micah Parsons was kind of terrible. Again, from a fantasy
Right.
perspective, he was bad. It's one of those games. It's so frustrating with defensive ends. You watch the
Yeah.
game, like, yeah, you are wreaking havoc. Like he won.
Mhm.
I mean, he kind of won them the game that last play, right? Or
Yeah.
he's the one that influenced. And what do you get for that for fantasy? Absolutely nothing.
Big zilch.
Absolutely nothing. You kind of know what you're getting there. So no, other than that, I think this game is you keep playing who you're gonna be playing.
Yeah, I wanted to unpack quickly the Seahawks safety situation because
Mm,
as I'm skimming through here, I'm like, well, Jordan Brooks went down. Maybe Julian Love got some extra play. Yeah, we see here only 20% of snaps. And I just searched him. No injury. He played a little bit in the fourth. Like, I don't know what was going on there. So it appears that, well, at least for this game, Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs were the number one safeties, played close to 100% of the snaps there. So they're the guys to play. And Julian Love just continues to be a conundrum, a very risky option here. Some people love him still. When the snaps are going up and down, zigzagging like that, that's not someone that I want to rely on. This is the second week in a row for Jonathan Hankins to have a sack. We didn't have him highlighted last week. We don't have him highlighted this week. 39% of snaps. Not going to count on it. Just not someone I'm interested in not only rostering, but certainly not playing at that snap count and betting that he's going to continue a hot sack streak. So
for
just wanted
sure.
to call those
Re-
out as well.
Related, this is the third straight week where Boye Mafe has done
No sack.
practically nothing. I
Yeah.
think I'm ready to maybe cut bait for some other streaming folks. He's getting the playtime you want to see.
Yeah.
So definitely pay attention to, the matchups there. But I don't know. It's tough to swallow 3 straight weeks. Like I'd rather find someone else who's, done something more recently, than him. So
He kind of feels
he's
like
one.
he feels like a Jonathan Greener type guy to me.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
some people love him and are going to ride with him. I'm kind of indifferent, leaning towards like don't like him that much. When he went on the streak earlier this year, it's hard to ignore that. But and he does have second round draft capital, but so does Daryl Taylor. Like I don't know. Yeah, he's going to be an interesting one to get people's opinions of in the offseason for Dynasty
For
because
sure.
of the hot start and now kind of floundering leading up into some really important matchups here, including probably this week was one for a lot of
Mhm.
IDP managers. So Davon Clark, from the linebacker situation, Davon Clark 71%, Marquise Bell 84. So they flip-flopped again. 2 weeks ago, it was the same situation. Last week, it was Clark who played more, and now this week we're back to Bell. So again, impossible to give you really solid advice there. I still kind of like playing both, but it's very frustrating and annoying when they keep flip flopping like
Mm,
that.
for sure.
So yeah, other than that, I don't think I see anything crazy. Donovan Wilson for the Cowboys safety situation again continues to be the guy that I want, who's actually a safety again, not Marquise Bell. So yeah, Wilson's about the only one I care about really right now and am potentially willing to play. At 88% last week, he was 90. So good to see that. Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on. Denver. So the Denver Broncos and Houston Texans. Let's see here. Singleton's doing his thing. He has not relinquished 100% snap roll. Now, Josie Jewell had a good game. I believe he came away with, that must have been last week where he had a sack. So Josie Jewell, one of his higher snap counts in recent weeks, 75%, but only 6 tackles with nothing else and just 2 of them solo. So you're definitely frustrated with Jewell. Redraft, he should be, unless you're in a super deep redraft league, Jewell should not even be rostered, I don't think. As far as the Texans linebacking situation, we had Christian Harris play 60%, Denzel Perryman 65%, Blake Cashman at 100. Guess who was the worst producer out of all 3? Big Blake Cashman. So I don't know what the hell are you doing here with these linebackers on Houston, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, Cashman's playing, which is nice. Like the 100% is great. Perryman continues to perplex.
Yeah.
Like I really
Do
felt
they trust
confident.
him? Do they not? Like
Right.
he just came back from the suspension.
No,
It's not an injury, but like what in the hell are they doing?
yeah, the Texans are kind of like the Browns of last year to me right now, where it's just
And this year.
I don't really want to touch
Yeah.
any of them. I don't trust them. Granted, you're at a point now though where you're in your playoff push. You don't want to change things too much, right? Like keep with what kind of got you there, but you can't feel good throwing out any of these linebackers. Like if you get it right, you feel like a freaking genius. But when you get it wrong, like I always do, you end up losing, right? So it's tough. It's a tough one.
Everyone was taking their victory laps on Blake Cashman. I'm like, he's not that good at football. And here we go with more than a few duds in a row after the monster game with the sack and all those tackles, and everyone was taking their victory laps. Like, guys, you got to remember, like, if you're bad at football, it's generally going to affect your playing time, and your IDP production is going to be very lumpy. He apparently is good enough to stay on the field at 100% snaps, which boggles my mind. But yeah, here we go with the low IDP production. So
yeah, and I will say this: the Texans play the Jets next week. A team that struggles mightily on offense, who will probably not have a whole lot of snaps. So any of these sort of volume-y type snaps, like I wouldn't trust them.
Yeah. Absolutely agree. Very happy to see Will Anderson with a monster game here. 4 QB hits. Finally got home. We've been saying it. He's been getting the QB hits. He's been getting the pressures. Just hasn't converted. And yeah, he wasn't probably in a lot of people's lineups. Now, maybe with bye weeks, you were kind of forced into playing him, but I get it. If you didn't have to, you probably weren't playing him. Because look, I mean, the Broncos, they were an okay matchup for defensive ends, but nothing great. The linebackers actually major disappointment with the fantasy matchup. They were the best fantasy matchup. But yeah, Will Anderson continue. He's not leaving the. I'm already got him in the elite tier in Dynasty, and he's not leaving anytime soon because this is his ceiling. He's just got to get a little more consistent with the floor. He gets a pass from me as a rookie for the low floor this year. So I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
I was going to bring up a couple of highly sought after rookies, defensive ends last year, namely being Kayvon Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson. If you remember last year, very similar season to what Will Anderson's putting up right now. You have some explosive games like, yep, that's why they drafted him where they drafted him, right? But still a rookie defensive end. He's getting the snap share that you want to see him have. And closing that loop, both Hutchinson and Thibodeau are in the top 20 this year. So dynasty asset, just you got to hold firm. Just know you can't really trust them this year unless you are forced in the spot where you're trying to go really high upside versus, the safer sort of picks. But at that position, there's not a whole lot of really super, super, super safe picks, right?
Exactly.
You love to see it. Dynasty era was pointed up for sure.
And for me, Will Anderson wasn't even, he's an elite level talent. Like I do love Hutchinson and Thibodeau, but for me, they're not in the same tier talent wise, just NFL talent wise.
Anderson has a higher ceiling for sure.
Exactly. We'll touch on the waiver wire pickups we've got highlighted. Derek Stingley is on a roll, back from his injury. Since he's been playing 100% of snaps, he's been crushing it. Now, yes, he's sort of relying on these interceptions and big splash plays, but he's had some decent tackle floor games as well. This one, had he not gotten the 2 interceptions, would have been a complete dud. So you do run the risk of that. But, this is what he is, though. I mean, he's a ball hawk. He kind of very much reminds me of Asante Samuel Sr., where you are, if you're playing him in IDP, yes, the tackle floor can be 0. It can be 1. So you have to kind of, gamble with that. But the payoffs are games like this. So 2 picks, 4 defensive passes. So that's why he didn't get tackles, because he's out there breaking out passes, right? Just the 1 solo tackle. But hey, in leagues that reward, cornerback scoring appropriately, where passes defended and interceptions are worth the points that they're supposed to be worth, for at least 4 for an interception, probably at least 2 for a pass defended, then he should absolutely be rostered in leagues that you're playing like 2 to 4 defensive backs. And I'm probably starting him in games where I know that the passing is going to be heavy. So,
oh, he's the 10th highest scoring per game cornerback, which again, we always love looking at the total points scored, right? But points per game is where it's at for some of these positions, especially for folks that have missed a lot of time with injury. And that's with a zero burger in there in his first game back from injury, where they're sort of getting him in there. So he is absolutely, he's a free agent in the league I'm looking at. So he probably won't be moving forward.
Yeah. So we've also got PJ Locke, the Broncos safety, filling in while Kareem Jackson is out. Had a really nice game here. So just in case, you need a fill in for one more week, PJ Locke can be that safety for you. Jimmy Ward, the Texans safety, was always the starter. He's not going to lose his job to injury, so he's back, played 95% of snaps. He's a very solid option here going forward. And I have Blake Cashford highlighted just because I feel like people may have dropped him. Like, he might be floating out there. The fact that he maintained and held on to his 100% snap roll with Perryman back and Harris, who basically outplayed him last week, it still gives me encouragement. And then I still at least want him rostered. So that's why he's highlighted there, and why I don't have Perryman and Harris highlighted, because 60% and 65% snaps, I don't want that in just about any league. So I'm not rolling the dice on that. Petrie, we'll touch on him. People have been frustrated with him. A fine enough game, 6 solos and a TFL. We'll take that as a floor. It'd be nice to get some boom games from him to finish out the year. So we kind of just have to cross our fingers on that. But still, playing 100% of snaps, still should be rostered. And, I guess he kind of played the matchups with him. And this was even a very bad matchup from a fantasy standpoint. He still had a decent enough game. So we kind of just got to roll with the Petrie punches. You got anything else on this one?
Nope, that is about it for me.
All right, that's going to take us to a stinker. The Chargers and the Patriots. Not a lot of points in this one.
Fun to watch.
Very top-heavy IDP scoring. And at the bottom there, not a lot left. So Khalil Mack did his thing, still going hard. We do have Tuipulotu highlighted as he's playing 92% of snaps. Since Joey Bosa's gone down, he's not really given you the payoff that we would have liked, playing these ridiculously high snap counts for a rookie, basically tweener, edge rusher, linebacker. But I think it's coming, and that's why he's highlighted still, because I still want to take the chances on the talent and the snap counts here for Tuipulotu. It's just Khalil Mack is stealing all of the production right now. So Eric Hendricks outdid Kenneth Murray despite playing less snaps. That was because he somehow gets a sack. I don't know how or why that happens. Kind of annoying that wouldn't have gone to Tuipulotu, but that's why Kendricks is up there. And also, I guess he could probably be highlighted if he's playing 89% of snaps. So let's go ahead and do that. But what are your takeaways here as the Patriots fan?
Oh God, we're terrible. It's a fascinating thing because you have to look at it from both the Patriots defensive players and the teams that are playing them, right? So the Patriots cannot sustain drives. They can't do anything. And the one nice thing when you were playing the Patriots is when Mac Jones was playing quarterback for us, you knew he was going to throw like 2 bonehead interceptions, right? So you knew there were some splash plays there. Zappy, looked not great, but better, even though we scored 0 points. Didn't turn the ball over, was sacked quite a few times. So hard to tell. So from the Patriots side, though, a couple of things I wanted to sort of note. Sort of been on Miles Bryant for a whole lot of this season. Currently the 17th points per game cornerback we have in our scoring system. He's 10th
Nice.
overall in points. So interesting amount of play time he had in this game, only 66%. Or 64%. That has been closer to 100. So just monitor, see if he got nicked up. I didn't notice anything. So maybe that was injury related. We have Jabril Peppers there highlighted as a waiver wire target. He's been just freaking great all year. He only scored 7 points in this game. The Chargers struggle in offense too. So only 61 snaps. He's been someone that's kind of been the Patriots MVP. I would say from an IDP perspective, for the totality of the year, he's definitely worth rostering. Go get him there. And then Jaylani Tavai and Jawan Bentley have been pretty solid on the Patriots side as well in that linebacker spot. So nothing super crazy, but again, you have one more week. If you're going for a more safe pick for trying to get you into the playoffs, those are people you should for sure be looking for.
Absolutely. I don't have a lot to add on this one. My guy Josh Uche is kind of stuck in this 30% role, and
However, Keon White is up to 87%. So that's one of those. I think he's a second round pick this year.
Yeah.
Second pick from the Pats. So the Patriots are in full blown tank. The defense is clearly trying to win, but the offense physically can't. So we're gonna have a lot of these young folks. It's now time to see if there is anyone on this roster that is worth building around. Keon White has the draft capital. He's now getting the play time. That's not to say he's going to be a trustworthy asset each and every week, but it's something to monitor from the dynasty perspective of, maybe he'll start showing whether he's going to be something or not.
Definitely an attractive dynasty asset for sure. Cool. I don't got a whole lot else on this one. You good?
No, it was gross. Let's move on.
Yeah. Not a lot of what was it? What was the final score? 12-0 or 6-0?
It was 6-0.
6-0.
Literally, the Patriots are the first. If you haven't heard of this yet, which I'm sure you have because y'all are smart people, Patriots are the first team in the Super Bowl era to, for 3 straight games, given up 10 or fewer points and lost all 3.
Oh, that is just brutal. So that's like,
not only are we losing, it's just boring as sin to watch. So
it's like the 2001 Ravens, except they also can't win.
Exactly.
Aye.
Drake May, here we come. All right, let's move on.
Lions and the Saints. Jack Campbell season, baby. It kind of, we don't like to root for injury, but it's when it makes these kind of muddy situations clear, like we'll kind of take it. And I don't know that Anzalone is going to be out super long either. So this could all be a 1 week thing if Anzalone comes back. We'll have to see how he gets through practice most of this week. But Jack Campbell outproduces barely Derek Barnes by a tackle here and there. But Campbell 79%, Barnes 84%. So basically the same amount. So both of them are highlighted as pickups. So if Anzalone is still going to miss time, they are both viable options, I think, going forward here. Are Campbell and Barnes. So Brian Branch with a great game. Paulson Adebo continues to be the corner in New Orleans who is scoring all the fantasy points. Again, I mean, I don't care if it finishes out the rest of the season that way. That's still, it could fluctuate on a dime. That could go to someone else. So now with who's their stud corner who's out? Marshawn Lattimore out. It certainly lends itself to going Adebo's way. But Alontae Taylor's still there, still the slot corner, still playing a crap ton of snaps. 98% of this one. It's just Adebo was the target. He's getting picked on. So the only other waiver option we have highlighted in this one was Jordan Howden, the safety for the Saints, with Marcus May. He's been in and out all year he's been suspended, he's had injuries. So I don't know, maybe hold on to Howden at this point, despite whether May comes back, because whoever seems to be playing that role is the one who is doing well. We saw Teray Matthew do nothing on 100% of snaps, 1 assisted tackle. That's it. That's kind of crazy against the Lions, and especially the way this game turned out in a shootout here. That's very surprising. We had Pete Werner absent due to injury in this one. I don't think that's going to be anything major, which is why we do not have Nefi Sewell highlighted as a crazy, if you're in some super deep league or you want to handcuff Pete Werner, if you have him, then sure. It appears to be Nefi Sewell. We thought it would be Zach Bond. He's actually been getting in games with healthy Demario Davis and Pete Werner. So that's kind of a surprise. And we'll, kind of similarly with the Chiefs when we get to that game, Sewell must be like the direct backup and Bond just kind of the specialty role player. So Bond actually did get a sack in this one, whereas Nefi Sewell got all the tackles. So, but neither are guys that we're chasing. Again, I don't think Werner's going to be out very long. But if he does miss again, I guess it would be Sewell. Although, again, 72% of snaps for a linebacker, I'm not super happy or trustworthy of that. So what do you got for this one, Matt?
Yeah, none too keen on Sewell there.
Yeah.
Few things stick out to me. Those Detroit defensive backs, like, love the fact that Tracy Walker and Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph all, were able to perform in harmony there. We always worry when all of them are healthy, who's going to eat into who. It's kind of like shaping up like the Falcons defensive back situation. It's like, oh, the answer is all of them. It's not just one. The answer is all of them. So love all that. They should all be rostered everywhere, I'd say, especially in your just average deep leagues. And then, Tyrann Mathieu, very disappointing game. We played 100% of the snaps. That's one of those ones where you kind of chalk it up to like, well, it happens. Still 36th overall safety in the scoring system. So he's still definitely there as a safety 2, safety 3. Kind of what we would sort of be expecting him to be anyway going into the year. I think he might be kind of outperforming what our projections for him going into the year. But you can't ignore that 100% of defensive snaps played. And they're playing, Carolina. So a interesting offense with, a quarterback that is prone to be making a bunch of mistakes. So I would keep him in your lineups wherever you have him. But other than that, Pete Werner, we'll see if he comes back. If he doesn't and you are desperate, seemingly Nefi Sewell is the guy. But you're not going to feel super confident rolling him out there, especially if you're in that playoff push.
Absolutely. Aiden Hutchinson and Lee McNeil kind of duds in this one, which stunk because, this was a great matchup fantasy-wise for McNeil especially. Was kind of expecting a sack in this one. And then Hutchinson, man, 91% of snaps. It was a bad fantasy matchup, but both of these offenses were on the field. We saw it turned into a shootout. So kind of, this is why I'm not I'm not a huge Hutchinson guy. I don't want to I feel like people are stupid, like he's awesome. You have to start him every week. I'm like, no. I just I don't know. But this is what Will Anderson was doing. Only, it's his rookie year, not, so Hutchinson's floor still very much in question here. Interesting to see old ass Bruce Irvin come out of nowhere with a sack for the Lions. I was like, where did he come from? I didn't see any news on signings. And of course, it was on 16% of snaps. So not go chase that. Leave him out there. But I was just like, what the heck? And Malcolm Rodriguez is getting run 46% of snaps with. So they're just committed to a 3-headed monster at linebacker, which is super, super annoying. So, all right. Other than that, you got anything else?
Nope, not particularly.
Cam Jordan down to 29% of snaps. I'm not too sure if that was injury or just he's officially washed. So, but we weren't starting whether he's playing 89% of snaps. He probably would have given you the same 4 points there. So that sucks for him. All right, Falcons and Jets. All right, let me zoom in here a little bit. Okay, we've got so I believe I wrote up this game, and You can see Bud Dupree was listed as a Hail Mary there, despite the Jets being the fourth best fantasy matchup. It's because that whole edge rushing group there is a giant rotation. Now, Bud Dupree, this 74% of snaps is like his highest in a long time. So he did get home for 2 sacks, which makes sense with the fantasy matchup. It's just impossible to tell you whether it was going to be him or Arnold Abercrombie or Lorenzo Carter, or the interior guys, David Onyemata, Calais Campbell, Kentavious Street. Like, this is just a gigantic rotation. So it's nice to see Bud Dupree home. But the reason he's not highlighted in red as someone to go pick up is because he's not going to play the Jets every week. And he's probably not going to play 74% of snaps every week. So it's just not someone I'm excited to go after. So, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who just kind of chase points and tell you to go pick up these guys because they scored well this week. But we try to dive a little deeper here for you over at IDP Plus, and that's just not somebody that I'm interested in obtaining on my team pretty much at any level, unless it's like an active best ball league that you can go get waivers. Then I would have probably told you to go grab him prior to this week. But like, unless it's a best ball league where you can still add people, I want nothing to do with Bud Dupree. Like, I'm sorry. So great that he did this well, but this will be his best game of the year. Like, not someone I'm super interested in. So I don't know. I'll throw it to you after that little mini rant there.
Oh, I love those types of rants. Just a fascinating game. I mean, scrolling this on the old YouTube visuals here. There's a lot of IDP points in this game, right? There's a lot, like, I don't know. I mean, I think the general average is pretty good. Like, I don't know how many people you started that completely tanked you in this one, other than where did he go? The CJ Mosley there on the Jets. We expect to be so much better than this. Still played 100%. It was a weird game. You can continue to trust him. Nate Landman, the Landman, still performed really well on only 60% of snaps. So I don't love that snap percentage there, but he's performing. So if you're still riding that train, continue to do it. I want to point out Jeff Okudah here, the cornerback. I don't know why my eyes just go to all these cornerbacks. He's been averaging around 13 points when he's on the field. His overall point totals are kind of diminished based off of some injuries he's had, but when he's out there, he's performing pretty dang well. So if you're talking cornerback streamers, there are worse people to have. They're going up against the Buccaneers next week, who we know like to spread the ball out to those talented wide receivers, and those wide receivers will get open, unlike a Jeff Okudah. So I kind of expect him to have a pretty decent week next week. Other than that, you love to see Jermaine Johnson have a huge heckin' game there for the Jets. Only played 60% of snaps, so kind of a boom or bust character there. But no, Richie Grant performed pretty well too. I don't know. I feel like both of these teams, you generally know who you want to be playing, and the people that did not do great, we expect to kind of bounce back, and the ones that we have in those Hail Mary categories, like I don't fully trust this explosion in this very weird game.
The CJ Mosley, kind of just the split between solos and assists hurt you, and he gave you nothing else in any other category, so that hurts. I'm getting scared with Landman and Richie Grant's like snaps. I'm checking out the alignments. Like, Richie Grant was getting box snaps, so that was helpful. But DeMarco Helms is definitely playing like more safety. So is this alignment and usage going to continue? That's a big question. This one's kind of good, and that's why. So you see,
one note to AJ.
Oh yeah, Terrell got injured.
AJ
right?
Terrell got hurt. Concussion, which is why he only played 4% of those snaps. Something to monitor for sure, because I mean, they have a talented secondary there that can move people around. So you might see that bump back up there for Richie Grant, and being used. And I mean, he already was being used in optimal spots, but there'll be more tackles to be made, right, with AJ Terrell not being there. So we'll see how that impacts things.
Clark Phillips is their talented 4th round rookie, who's I guess the backup, or at least filled in this one. So That would be for incredibly deep leagues. But yeah, the only guy we've got highlighted is Tony Adams, the Jets safety. Just as a reminder, he's healthy. He's playing all the snaps again. But yeah, Jermaine Johnson had a great game. Quentin Jefferson, we're not highlighting him at 51% of snaps. Where's my guy? Big Bryce Huff is a big fan, just 49% of snaps. And it's just like Jets rotation. I put Will McDonald on there, 18%.
I was gonna mention that. I feel like you feel obligated to throw him on there, even though he didn't do a dang thing.
Yeah, I just like to show how much he's playing, really. Even just for myself to track it, to get my eyeballs on it. But yeah, this was kind of gross game. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I'm not super thrilled throwing Richie Grant and Nate Landman in my lineups going forward with these snap counts and just praying that they'll continue with the big splash plays. Like, I'm a little scared about that. Caden Ellis is safe with 100%, but he only gave you tackles this week. No big splash plays. So like, yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on in Atlanta all of a sudden. But yeah, CJ Mosley, don't get too worried. Quincy Williams, it was nice to see him give us some production again after some slower weeks there, kind of fighting through an injury. He was back to giving you at least decent IDP scoring there. So good on this one.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, the Cardinals and the Steelers. So
go Birds.
Yeah, how dare you?
Patriots are now the second pick in the NFL draft. So I'm pretty much rooting for every upset every single time.
So yeah, I bet.
I didn't mean the Philadelphia Eagles. I meant the
go Birds is our slogan.
They're also Bird. I no disrespect meant.
Yeah,
I rescind that. Go Cardinals. How about that? Go the NFL football team, the Cardinals.
The Ravens were trying to take that phrase, and
were they?
We
I missed that.
Didn't let that happen, at least on Twitter. So yeah, very, very funny when the other bird teams try to use that.
Not my intention.
All good. So Minka Fitzpatrick in this one comes back to meh production, very mediocre, 4 solos and 1 assist with nothing else. He also apparently, you found this out for me earlier.
He broke his heckin' hand.
Yeah, in the middle
of
the game,
broken hand the entire second half. With a broken hand.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's not missing any time.
Yeah.
They play Thursday against my Patriots, which I would say is a decent enough matchup for like some splash plays potentially. But he has a broken hand. Like, I don't know how he can possibly play. But if he does, I just guess I'm still fading him a little bit. Because how is he going to play with a broken hand? I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
So that's some. So when we get to the Miami game, we'll talk about this too. What the players tell the media is definitely not always how it shakes out. So I just highlighted Trenton Thompson, the Steelers backup safety. If you want to just handcuff Fitzpatrick, if he doesn't go on Thursday, then Thompson could be a nice little fill in there. Of course, Demonte Casey is the other safety who did he give us anything this week? Not 7 whole points on 91% snap. This is another one where there's not a lot of fancy points to go around here. So it was nice to see Alex Highsmith break out of his slump in not a good matchup. If you're counting linebacker points, it was a good matchup, but he's not a linebacker. He's a defensive end, edge rusher. So this was not a great matchup for Arizona, and he just broke through and happened to get the sacks. TJ Watt split a sack with him there. TJ Watt turns in a solid game. Nice to see Budda Baker kind of break out of a slump with his alignments has been kind of crappy as of late. So nice to see him there. But Jalen Thompson right behind him in fantasy points production. Josh Woods still the linebacker to own. Michael Walker in this one takes over the production battle from Elandon Roberts, who must have gotten injured as well. I'm not sure because Roberts down to 22%. Michael Walker 96%. So he definitely needs to be added, I think, one way or another, because either Roberts got injured or he lost his job to bad play. So regardless, Michael Walker is going to be probably your number one linebacker pickup this week, I would say for sure, because there aren't a lot of opportunities out there. Did you find
Yeah,
anything?
Roberts left with a groin injury.
Interesting. So who knows? He might not even miss any time, but still,
Is
it sounds like
there a
Walker.
curse with the
Yeah,
Steelers linebackers this year?
this
Like, can
year there sure
anyone
is.
stay healthy? Holy cow.
Yeah. Which is why we also saw Mark Robinson get some playing time and turn in some decent production. 8 tackles, 4 solo. So I'm not highlighting him yet just because the groin injuries. Like I would expect Roberts to be back from that, but
Yeah.
later in the week as it goes, monitoring his practice, yeah, you might want to snag Mark Robinson off the later week waivers, but I would not necessarily put in a claim for him in your Tuesday claims there. So
Oh yeah, short week going against a Patriots team that has,
yeah.
all things considered, maybe a quarterback that shouldn't be in the league leading it with Ezekiel Elliott, old as
Yeah.
heck Ezekiel Elliott leading the rushing committee there because
Yeah.
Stevenson got hurt. Like there's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
of like just run 3 downs in a row punt. So I
Right.
think there's gonna be plenty of tackles there for those linebackers. So whoever is suiting up, I think the matchup should be decent. But uh,
Yeah.
yeah, other thing, I'd be remiss not to mention Joey Porter, my rookie cornerback, 100% of snaps.
Yeah.
You love to see it. With that being said, probably fading him next
Mhm.
week because I don't expect the
Mm.
Patriots to pass that frequently, nor do I expect there to be many completions for there to be tackles or for there to be tackles for cornerbacks. If they actually had to make catches, which none
Good
of the
point.
Patriots seemingly can. So probably fading him, but again, dynasty. Uh, Era pointed up. I feel like this has been a great class of rookie cornerbacks who have been
Yeah.
producing and playing a whole bunch. Felt like going in, who's 1 or 2. It's like actually they're all playing pretty solidly.
Yeah.
And that never forget about Christian Gonzalez, the Patriot, the one good player we have. Anyway, not talking about the Patriots right now. It's so easy to get sucked in. Zaven Collins, disappointing game, 57%
Thanks.
of snaps, didn't really do much.
He
I don't
stinks.
know if people were still living off of that name anymore. We had him as a Hail Mary. He's still a Hail Mary. I mean, that's enough snaps at a position where maybe he'll hit, but you can probably find someone better out there.
He'll be a weekly Hail Mary just because he's part of that giant rotation. The guy I want is BJ Ojolari.
Mhm.
Not a great, he didn't get home for a sack in this one, did get a QB hit and defended a pass, so he's chipping in elsewhere. He only played 46%. I don't know why Collins is getting the snap preferential treatment there because Ojolari is definitely better at this point. But yeah, Cardinals defense is at least on the defensive line, and the edge rushers is a gross thing for fantasy.
Yeah, and then another defensive lineman, Cam Hayward, is having just I don't
Ooh,
know if this is the wheels falling off sort of season. It kind of
yeah,
feels like it. Still playing
yeah,
74% of defensive snaps. He's only scoring the 33rd most points per game. Obviously, he was hurt for a whole bunch of the year, and he's been like decent enough. But that's
right,
not the Cam Hayward where if you're in a league where you're starting one defensive tackle, it's kind of
yeah.
hard justifying rolling him out there at this point.
He's hurt. He's hurting you now. Yeah, I had him as a stud just because I thought he'd bounce back. This was a pretty good matchup from a fantasy perspective, and yeah, it just didn't turn it in. So getting a little scary there for Big Cam. I think he's only had really one, maybe two useful games so far this year. So uh, yeah,
Yeah,
might be
3.
time to lower his expectations here going forward.
Agreed.
Anything else on this one? Kind of another
Nope.
stinky game.
Let's go to the Colts Titans.
Colts and Titans. All right. So um Big Aziz bounces back strong in this one, back up to 96%. I was getting a little worried there, just with his snap count. That's why we had him listed as a kind of a tier 2 guy. Plus the fact that Indy, 21st and giving up points. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. So yeah, nice to see him back with a great double-digit tackle game and adding the sack into it as well. A few below him, we're going to see Jack Givens on just 59% of the snaps, and an incredible tackling production performance, 13 total with 9 solos. But again, it was 59% of the snaps. So are we trusting him? That's why he's not highlighted in red, folks. Like I'm not trusting him. I mean, just the prior 2 games when he was losing steam to Monty Rice, he would kill you if you had him in your lineup. So I don't know. What do you think about him, Matt?
Can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Can't be. Don't give me him. Give me EJ Speed.
Yes. EJ Speed, 92%, 8 total tackles, 3 of them for a loss and 6 solo. So that's great. We do have to touch on what you told me pre-show, that big Jeffrey Simmons went down in this run and is likely to miss a couple of games, right?
Yep, not IR, not season ending.
Okay.
So what they're projecting is a couple of games. Obviously some more opportunities there for other players. I don't know.
Timing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, right before the fantasy playoffs, brutal
Mhm.
for us here in this space.
Mhm.
I'm interested to see if they actually do end up bringing him back. However, I mean, the Titans season's
Mhm.
kind of lost. It's like,
Yeah,
why risk if it's going to be a couple
good
weeks
point.
anyway? Why even risk bringing back one of your better
Yeah.
players that you have a lot of money in? So
Mhm.
obviously, if you have an IR spot and you can stash him there, great. If you're in a league that you're only starting one defensive tackle again, there are going to be
Mhm.
better players than him on your waiver wire that'll provide you more value.
Absolutely. So we have Tyre Tart highlighted in red as a potential pickup in this one. So not super exciting, but Denico Autry might see more snaps sliding back. He's kind of been playing more on the outside, honestly, in that scheme. So maybe we see him slide back more inside with his alignments, but it'll be interesting to see how they figure that out. As far as the IDP pickups, Kevon Wallace for the Titans, the safety, 90% snaps. Shitty production this week, but still noteworthy with the snap counts. Amani Hooker, just because the name isn't huge. So if he's still out there, 100% snaps and had a decent enough production week this week. Of course, EJ Speed, same thing. In case people have been sleeping on him, definitely should be rostered in most leagues. And Jalen Jones just having really nice. This is what the rookie corner Juju Brents for the Colts should be giving you, but he's been injured. So in the meantime, it's Jalen Jones playing 100% of snaps and giving you really, really solid production here, outproducing Kenny Moore even in this one to the tune of 18.5 points on those 100% snaps. And then Big Samson Ibukon is on a hot streak right now, just 59% of snaps, but he is a specialized role, and these are the boom games he can give you. It was a nice matchup against Tennessee. You can see giving up the 6th most fantasy points to defensive end, so it kind of makes sense that he had a nice game here. So be a little cautious just throwing him into your lineup, riding the hot streak, depending on what the matchups are going to be next year, which subscribers over at idpguys.org will be able to know from our written content and our charts that go up every week. If you'd like to get 10% off, IDP plus sign pod will give you 10% off all those levels of membership over on the site there. But yeah, so Ibukov definitely needs to be rostered. As far as into your starting lineup, it is pretty much a weekly gamble. But we did have him as a solid this week, so I'll take that as a hit.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks now since the Colts released Shaquille Leonard. They've always had in their scheme 2 linebackers to be relevant, right? So obviously we expected it to be EJ Speed. It's just nice seeing that come to fruition. Which if you're in some leagues where maybe some other managers have checked out because their teams haven't done too well, players like that can be available. I kind of see Speed as similar to Special Agent Jack Sanborn, helping people of last year,
Yeah.
advance that people aren't paying attention. They'll fly under the radar, but he'll help you advance in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on this one? I don't have a whole lot else, I don't think.
Nope, I'm good.
Touched on the injuries, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. That will take us to the Dolphins and the Commanders. So we alluded to this with Minka Fitzpatrick. So apparently all week, Javon Holland said, my knees are great, and then just doesn't play. So that's why Brandon Jones is highlighted, because we're going to have to see if Holland is going to be out more than 1 week here. If he is, Brandon Jones could definitely be a valuable asset potentially here down the line. So he did
News
play 100.
now. News
Yeah.
now. Both knees are bad. Like, oh, my
Yeah.
knees are fine. It's like, no, not even
Both.
just one of them. Both knees are
Right.
bad. Like, great.
Not great. Like, yeah, that's tough here.
I imagine how much of that is related to, health for the playoffs. Like the Dolphins
Yeah.
have a pretty decent
Ooh,
lock
good point.
on the
Yeah.
division for sure. With the Bills kind of floundering, where are
Right.
they? Where are they overall in the AFC?
They got to
Uh,
be up there with the Chiefs just
let's
losing. They
let's take a quick look here.
so
Okay,
that's the only thing, right?
they're tied with the Ravens.
Okay.
We'll see what happens with the Jaguars
But the AFC is
tonight.
all jumbled together there. Like anybody's got a shot at the 1 seed, I think,
Yeah,
going
so I guess
forward.
my theory was gonna be they're gonna, keep their players healthy because they can't have a Jalen
Right.
Phillips sort of thing happen to them, for this team that has Super Bowl aspirations. You'd rather have your team be
Mm,
healthy, but they're
right.
still playing. So actually, I bet he comes back as soon as he can.
Yeah, yeah. So Jones, he's kind of he maybe should be in like gray here, as far as a pickup. But the other guys, Percy Butler, we talk about him almost every week. Washington safety playing 100% of snaps. Like he's more of the free safety, but he can be useful to you. Cody Barton is back, so in case people haven't caught on, he's back and is playing 100% of snaps. So if anybody dropped him, he is the LB1 on that team. And then our guy, big Andy Van Ginkle, returns a interception for a touchdown in this one. Like just doing Andy Van Ginkle things when he gets the playing time, he's a great player. But we've talked about him, previously when everyone's healthy, he's waiver wire. So we told you to grab him last week. If people still are sleeping, now is he going to return touchdown? An interception for a touchdown every week? Of course not. But if he is playing 84% of snaps, I want that. And I'll take this crazy ceiling that the Van Ginkle Magic has in his back pocket, it seems. So yeah, what else do you got?
Yeah, this game was nice. Neither of these teams had any player that like super killed you. Obviously,
Yeah.
Christian Wilkins is the one shining
Mm,
example of maybe, someone that hurt you. 4
yeah.
points. He played 82% of defensive snaps, still the 6th highest scoring defensive tackle out there. Very shallow position. If you have him, you're throwing him out there.
Right.
Otherwise, the studs sort of played like the no stud played like their studly self, but sometimes in these playoff pushes, you're happy just getting, the average, like just get me points, and hope for better days. So, yeah, I think the Percy Butler call out is great. Cam Curl continues to be decent, as we'd expect him to be, but Butler definitely needs to be rostered there. And yeah, Cody Barton, is he good at football? I don't know. I don't know.
Generally, we said no,
We say
but
no, but he continues when he
yeah.
plays, he produces. So yeah, if he happened to be dropped, go ahead and get him.
We did see Jerome Baker go down with an injury. Apparently, he's considered week to week. So the Dolphins might be in the market for a linebacker or Duke Riley. So I'll highlight. I just highlighted Zach Sealer, who's been playing really well over there. So for your defensive tackle leagues, he's another guy to not forget about. 80% snaps, got 1.5 sacks in this one. But Duke Riley, if the Dolphins don't go get someone, he might be the new LB2. So David Long played 82%. He's probably rostered in most leagues at this point. Cam Curl should have had a lot better game with Dolphins giving up they're a great matchup for secondaries pretty much, any secondary almost. And yeah, this production was very disappointing. So can't really explain it away. It's just sometimes it happens, but yeah. So Baker's the big story there. And yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anybody else who jumps out at me. Normally Cody Barton only missed production to Jamin Davis by 1 point. I'm definitely Team Barton over Team Davis, just to make that clear. But But yeah, he had one more point than Barton in this one. Oh well. Yeah, the bottom is really gross here.
Yeah, no one you really need to worry about down there.
Yeah.
Channington Doll showing up on the stat sheet though. Look at you go.
Wow. Yeah.
5% of
Well,
snaps.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think
That's one of those
it's
blast
like,
from the past names. It's like, oh yeah, I remember writing some rookie profiles about him.
yeah, from just last year. But
Yeah.
yeah, who knows? Maybe he'll get some more playing time than that 5%. But yeah, he bought 3 snaps and 3 tackles. So if he could, extrapolate that production into more playing time, he's going to be a hot waiver pickup. But it'll be interesting to see if Duke Riley was kind of just the emergency fill in, and then next week maybe they hand the reins to $10. Something to keep your eyes on to the practice reports there.
But I
Who's
wouldn't
playing
bet
there?
on it.
No, don't. He's definitely not someone to worry about yet, but I can see that happening. Tindall was a nice little sleeper, rookie sleeper, but he just
Who is still asleep.
not getting playing time. So, all right, we can move on to the Panthers and the Buccaneers now. We have to start with the linebacker situation in Tampa Bay. No Devin White, no Levante David, Sarasi Dennis, no Sarasi Dennis as well, right? And then who was wait? Yeah, no Sarasi Dennis. There's supposed to be KJ Britt. KJ Britt down in the middle of the game or early in the game. So JJ Russell is apparently the next man up, and
Let's
he
go.
comes away with an awesome game. I don't know. I'm not spending too much fab. I don't know how long the combo of White and David are going to be out, but yeah, apparently JJ Russell is a player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who is a linebacker. Yikes.
No lies detected. No lies
Yeah.
detected.
You know what? I'm gotta do Marquise Haynes there too, because we didn't realize he was gonna have such a role. 68% of snaps there. Had a really nice game. Yetur Gross Matos came back in this one to play 60% of snaps. I'm not highlighting him because I don't like him very much. I'd rather have Marquise Haynes than Gross Matos. Alex Cook, 100% of snaps. So as long as Von Bell is out now, he didn't have any production to give you in this one, but 100% of snaps you can't ignore. Xavier Woods, I have just in case people forgot that he was out there, also 100% of snaps. And then Zion McCollum for the Tampa Bay Bucs with all their injuries at cornerback. Played 99% of the snaps. So those are the IDP waiver wires. Do you got anything as far as takeaways or anything goes?
Yeah, I mean, you'll notice here in our start sit advice, I think there's, if I'm seeing this correctly, a single person that we ranked as a stud, right? With the amount of injuries and the fluctuations with both of these teams all year, it's hard to find consistent players. So my big takeaway from this game, yes, there are waiver wire fines, right, for folks that can perform well, but they're not going to perform necessarily at that stud level, right? Like you're trying to find that diamond in the rough, like LB4. Or DE3 in these like deeper leagues. I would not rush out and immediately start someone like a JJ Russell or a Xavier Woods or an Alex Cook in anything other than a like desperation move. Maybe not Xavier Woods. Woods has shown IDP value in the past, but mostly that. Both of these teams are kind of gross. Who the heck knows who's suiting up for the Buccaneers next week? I sure as heck don't. You expect the Panthers to be a little more consistent in that manner, even though they're bad. Who are they playing? I think I mentioned who they were playing before. They are playing the Saints. The Panthers are playing the Saints. So actually, that's a pretty decent matchup. I might be Jameis Winston, turnover machine that he is there. So yeah, but in terms of this game, I don't know if I've learned a whole lot. Clash of Kansas kind of came back down to earth. He's getting a lot of pressures there. I think Arrow still pointed up for him in his rookie year at that defensive tackle spot, but not trustworthy in much of anything presently.
No. Diaby is putting some good games together. So I'm gonna put him in red too here because he got home for another sack. And it's seeing his playing time increasing. So 65% as opposed to, let's see, Joe Tryon down to 38%. Not great. Who they had someone? Oh, Shaq Barrett, 67% in this one, but did like absolutely nothing. So don't really know what's going on with him. Could just be the later portion of the season, and he's not a spring chicken coming off that bad injury. So it might be Yaya Diaby season at your defensive end then for the Bucs. So Ryan Neal was coming in to play some linebacker. That's why you see him jump up to 79%. If these guys are coming back healthy, I don't expect that to continue. So that's why he's not highlighted. He was basically an emergency fill in there. So, all right, good on this one.
Yes, sir.
All right, that'll take us to the Browns and the Rams. Again, very top-heavy scoring here. First, we can start out with Myles Garrett and the Zero Burger. He had the injury pop up last week. He plays 89% of snaps, just can't get home, can't do anything in this one. So major, major hurtful Zero Burger in this game. But hey, we've seen Michael Parsons do it. It can happen, but I think he gets a pass. But let's hope that injury isn't affecting him. Just even though he plays all these snaps, maybe he wasn't still able to go 100%, and hence why he doesn't record a stat in this one. So that hurts, right?
I mean, that is brutal. But again, it happens, especially at that position. But we've seen it at other ones too. So you're obviously going to roll with him moving forward. But we feel your pain. At the end of the day, fantasy sports still has a decent modicum of luck in it. You can make all the right decisions. You can do everything right. And then all it takes is one bad week and things go sideways. So we feel your pain. Commiserate with us. Buy some Trophy Smack loser merch. You'll feel better.
Absolutely. So John Johnson is one of the better pickups. He has regained a starting safety role, playing 100% of snaps here, which is kind of why Jordan Fuller might be taking a little bit of a hit in production, although he's still playing 100% of snaps. So no more Russ Yeast to worry about. He did play 45% of snaps as kind of like, I guess, a linebacker type role, but Johnson and Fuller are your starters now in the Rams safety backfield there. Ernest Jones turns in a monster tackle game. Kobe Turner, he's looking like a great replacement when Aaron Donald decides to hang him up. He's been crushing Donald in production as of late, and is absolutely a dynasty. Even just defensive lineman leagues, he should be a consideration for dynasty leagues. Comes away with another 1.5 sacks on just 52% of snaps, which is one of his lower counts in the past few weeks there. But Juan Thornhill back healthy at 100%, so we have him pegged as an IDP pickup there. I didn't do Byron Young this week. I figured I'd get off the horse. 90% of snaps. By now, if you've been listening to this show at all, you know how much I love Byron Young. So I'm leaving him off the waiver wire list this week. But he turns in a decent enough game with Michael Hecht, I think, banged up. Did he might have missed the game, or do I see him? I don't think I see him having recorded a stat if he played. So not great. But I don't know. What do you got? You want to do the linebackers on this one for the Browns?
Oh boy. Yeah. So
back to being a mess.
It is, but it isn't. I think we've seen enough now that JOK is finally
right.
I think he's finally at least the guy on that team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's had some really nice production as of late. He played 86% of defensive snaps. That's kind of what you want him to see. He only scored 7 points here, but he had 6 tackles. 5 were assists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all it takes is a few of those to spin into solos, right? And he's good. He's also been getting a decent amount of splash plays there. So I'm good upgrading him to be like an LB 3-4. Nothing crazy. Like you're in your more shallow leagues, which we're all a part of. Completely ignore him. But I mean, outplaying Taki, fun name to say, outplaying, and when I'm saying outplaying both fantasy production and snaps, Anthony Walker. I think he is the guy. He's the guy there if you're going to be starting anyone for the Browns. Still kind of gross, But in the past, we've seen all of those numbers be closer to each player playing 70, which is, I don't know how it mathematically works, but it seems to always happen. But there's at least some delineation here between the playtime and fantasy production. Yeah, other than that, yeah, the Byron Young stuff, I mean, we'll keep hammering that train as long as we can. Like, he's been
Yeah.
great. You should go get him. All jazz. But no, this game was nice. Other than the big outlier, Myles Garrett, it's like all the people we expect to be solid or Studley generally performed well enough that you're not going to be super, super mad about it. So with that being said, if no crazy injuries, not a whole lot to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, Walker came back from injuries. This is his first week back. They gave him 58%, eating into the Taki 41%, who I like better. I wish they would give him a more consistent role, but for whatever reason, they are choosing not to. Cool.
I think Michael Hecht played. I'm not
And
seeing
so he
anything.
played, just didn't record, or maybe something messed up with our stats here, but
yeah, I'm not seeing no, there's no stats here for him. So I don't know.
Okay. That's a surprise. Yeah. He'd been doing really well. Oh well. On to a depressing game for me to talk about.
Oh, this is a fun game. What are you talking about?
It was definitely entertaining. We could use Big Dom, the security guard that got kicked out, along with Dre Greenlaw, maybe in the defensive backfield, because we just got torched by our linebacking core and the secondary there. So not great. Now, I did read earlier that Shaq Leonard is officially becoming an Eagle. So we're going to add him down here at the bottom.
Yes, we are talking about the Niners-Eagles game, folks.
Oh, my bad.
Eagles.
Yeah.
If that wasn't made readily apparent by Steve's sadness.
Yeah.
He's supposed to have the good team on this podcast. And yet here we are. We're both losers. Yeah. Our teams both suck. Am I right?
Absolutely. So yeah, Shaq Leonard joins the Eagles. Definitely worth a pickup. It'll be interesting to see what kind of role he gets. I do still have Nicholas Morrow highlighted because he'll still be the linebacker too, as awful as he was, especially in this game. I think PFF said he was directly related for like almost all of the passing yardage that the 49, or at least half of it. So yeah, as far as pickups go, Leonard, Morrow on the San Francisco side, still Jair Brown. If people are sleeping on him, 100% snaps at safety. And Ambry Thomas is a new, full-time cornerback for the 49ers over the past couple of weeks. So in your corner required leagues. Yeah, we saw Javon Kinlaw pop with 2 sacks, which is really frustrating because he stunk. He stinks. He stunk all season. For us to allow him to get 2 sacks is very annoying. Do not go chase that. 31% of snaps. Again, he's been completely off the. This is the first time we've said his name preseason or up until this point. So not someone you need to go chase at all there. Christian Ellis had a decent enough fantasy game, but again, he'll probably be relegated back to full-time backup duties with Leonard coming on board. Reed Blankenship, still 100% snaps, not the greatest production game that he's had in this one because the 49ers just kept scoring over and over and over again. So it wasn't a lot of time on the field to record IDP stats for the Eagles here, which is why most of the 49ers are topping the scoring there. Dre Greenlaw got kicked out. That's why his snaps are so low. Who knows? I don't know if he'll be suspended or not, but Oren Burks would probably be the next guy. I don't have him highlighted just because I think it was just a 1-game thing there for Greenlaw. So I don't know. I'll let you with a more objective eye to this game speak on anyone else here. I'm so clouded with the depression of the loss that I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, it's the fascinating game. I feel like take the actual result aside, pretty boring IDP game to me. Namely, the people that did really, 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 really well. I don't know how well we can predict them to do it again. Like other than the Jair Browns, definitely someone that should be with
Right.
that play time, that kind of production should be picked up. Morrow, I mean, we have him as a waiver wire pickup, but yeah, the Shaquille Leonard stuff. Like, I know Leonard's not the same guy that he's been, right? It's kind of more of a
Mhm.
depth piece, but that's still scary. It still scares me a little bit,
Mhm.
in terms of just plug and playing Morrow out there. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, Ambry Thomas, that's a nice pickup too. But as you can see here, again, if you're watching on YouTube, the studs and solids generally did what we expected them to do, which is great. Uh, yeah, Son Reddick has figured things out again, which is nice. I guess there's just 1 week that he was off.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm just still burned from the beginning of the year when he like
Yeah,
truly just torched me for the first 4 weeks, did
I
nothing,
know.
then figured it out. So he's been playing better, so he's still plug and play. The thing that interests me about Philadelphia is that defensive tackle, all the defensive tackles, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, it's an embarrassment of riches, not their best game
Mhm.
today. But just looking at general relative play times, Jalen Carter playing 64%, Davis playing only 53%. It's just not enough. And
It's a
Fletcher
huge
Cox playing
rotation.
64. Yeah, it's just not enough for me to truly trust any of them. But you
No.
watch them, like, there's always someone that does something, right?
Yeah.
So if you are in a desperation play for a defensive tackle, we know one of the Philadelphia defensive tackles is going to do something. We just can't with any confidence pick which one, right?
Right.
Um, so definitely better. Like, if you can just have the Eagles defensive line. Maybe that's the format of like best ball fantasy football we
Yeah.
have to start promoting. Like, you just get the
Team
entire
defensive line.
you get the entire position group from a
Yeah.
team. So, like, I'll take the Eagles defensive line. Thank you.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
and go from there. But
I like that.
no, other than that, I think again, this is one of those scenarios where, yeah, both teams, I think we have a pretty good understanding of, and with no crazy injuries, and the only major addition being Shaquille Leonard, I think we can expect these play times to be consistent next week.
Yepper. All right. That's good for me on this one. And the last game is the
Oh,
Chiefs and the Packers.
wild
Uh,
game. Who saw
major,
this coming?
major upset. Yeah, absolutely. Along with some kind of cruddy injuries here. We saw Drew Tranquil go down, only getting to play 11% of the snaps, and weirdly Jack Cochran took over. So I guess he's like the direct backup. I would have expected Leo Chenal Willie Gay also played a ton of snaps there too, but I would have expected Chenal to get more run, which is super frustrating because he's very good, a second round pick, and they run with Cochran. So I don't know what's the deal there. We have Cochran highlighted along with Willie Gay and along with Darnell Savage, who returned in this one, the Packers safety, to play 91% of snaps. I kind of want to highlight Leo Chenal, but like the fact that he couldn't get more than 39% of snaps with Tranquil going down and leaving the game early is like, it's just mystifying to me. I don't get it. So what do you got on this one?
Yeah, of note, Nick Bolden practiced last week. Didn't play obviously in this game,
Ooh,
but because he practiced, maybe this Drew Tranquil nonsense might get him to
yeah, it won't
rushing
hurt.
back a little earlier. Which, if he comes back, if someone for whatever reason dropped him,
Mhm.
like in
Yeah,
redraft, like, he was,
yeah,
there's a reason why he was one of our top 3 linebackers out there.
yeah.
That has some real potential there. So just monitor that. I think, especially with that Tranquil injury, like, they don't have really the personnel to ease him back in. Like, I think he's just going to be out
Right.
there, or when he goes out there, he will be right back to what he was. So
Mhm.
if he doesn't play, yeah, Willie Gay, he's the guy to go get. I don't
Mhm.
trust Jack Cochran. It's hard to, right?
No.
I'm so risk averse when it comes to things like this.
Mhm.
That let someone else deal with that. Go with
Yeah.
a more stable commodity for your playoff push there. Uh, yeah, Quay Walker doing Quay Walker things. Love to
Yeah.
highlight our wins in preseason predictions. You'd love to see that. Michael Dana continues to do well, and it confuses the heck out of me. Like, maybe I should start believing,
And this is
but I
one of his
won't.
lower
Um,
snap counts of the year. He had been playing
yeah, it's
80, 90%. I don't
let's
get.
how is he doing on the year?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's been plenty of games where he's hit that 80, 90% mark.
Yeah, he started really hot and then kind of cooled off.
Right.
So yeah, he's still someone that you can kind of leave there on the waiver wire, in my opinion.
Yeah, duds from George Karlaftis and Chris Jones.
Mm,
Yeah, they're kind of we have Chris Jones. He's kind of a weekly stud. He's one of these guys that, like, I've said it before, like the phrase, you're kind of forced to start him. Some of these guys, you just got to eat these bad
mhm.
weeks in order to reap the benefits and not miss out on the good ones. So just kind of is what it is on that one.
Yeah, love to see Lucas Finesse do something. He only played 37% of snaps, but he did get home for a sack and a couple of QB hits. Love to see it. Obviously, that's not nearly enough enough snap percentage to actually go out and get. But from the deep dynasty perspective, I mean, you gotta take what you can get with players like this that were just kind of stashes the entire time. So there's some hope there. Some hope there for him.
Mhm. We'll have to. I want to touch on the Packers safety situation with Savage coming back,
Mm,
playing 91%. Jonathan Owens stuck around at 100%. I see Rudy Ford on here with recorded statistics, but only 10% of snaps. He had
mm,
been the starter previously, along with Anthony Johnson still playing 9%. So I don't know what Johnson 9% plus Savage is 91 equals 100. But Ford getting in there at 10 if he's healthy. I don't know why he only played 10% of snaps. And I was doing research, saw that he had, he broke up, I believe, the play, the Hail Mary at the end of the game. So, like, I don't know what's going on with the safety situation. So outside of Savage, I mean, if Owens is going to keep his 100% role, I guess he's safe to keep, but I don't have him highlighted to go pick up right now because I want to see what's going to happen with the snap counts here moving forward. Because previously it was Owens and Johnson were 0% guys with a
mhm.
healthy Ford and Savage. So it's interesting to see if that's going to change now. Has Owens earned playing time? I'm not really sure here. So that's one that we're going to have to keep our eyes on through the week, or maybe we have to let another full game play out in order to get a strong takeaway on what's going on there. So
Yeah, when the Packers went out and got Owens in the offseason, I mean, Owens had a very productive year last year with the Texans. I was like, okay, cool. He's going to be their DB2 or their safety two from a fantasy perspective. So I was surprised when he was rolling out like 0% or like the 10%
Mhm.
snap share in those earlier games. So I guess there's a real world where the Packers just didn't know what they were getting. Uh, and then they, due to injuries, threw him out there. It's like, oh, he's actually performing really well. Granted, he did have that kind of BS personal foul on Mahomes there. So hopefully there's no disciplinary action there against him. But yeah, I like Owens as that DB4. I'm a little biased from my preseason projection there. I'd like to think
Yeah.
they've realized they have an asset there that they can use. So I think I think we're both right. Probably not thrust into your starting lineup, but definitely something
Mhm.
to monitor. So if he gets another 100% next week, I think we're gotta be fully in on him.
Mhm. Lucas Van Ness gets a sack in this one. Definitely a dynasty stash. We just need to see that playing time increase, which I think it will next year.
Yeah, for sure.
We assume that Preston Smith's probably gone. They paid Rashawn Gary, who not a great game in this one. Luckily, a half a sack, but only 4 assists and a QB hit to go with that in a lot of leagues, even in this league, which is pretty aggressive scoring. It was only 7 points for
Yeah.
fantasy. So, like, these are the games you get from Gary too. But next year, I think it'll be a more healthy dose of Gary and Van Ness on the edges there, depending on what happens with Preston Smith, who also turned in kind of a clunker in this one, along with Devondre Campbell, back healthy, somewhat healthy at least, 82%, but only 4 tackles, just one of them solo. And we see Isaiah McDuffie not on here because he only plays when those guys are injured. So, yeah, so he could be kicked back to the waiver wire until inevitably one of Walker or Campbell gets injured again, unfortunately. So, um, anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. To kind of finish off the show here, just your trending guys, your trending players who are our top ads. we'll kind of do. I kind of tried to rank them, and of course, we've added some guys to the highlights as we've talked through the show here. But so my top linebacker ads are Cody Barton, Michael Walker from Pittsburgh, Josh Woods, EJ Speed, and Willie Gay. And I'll cut it off there. It cuts off at Jack Conklin and I'm probably going to lower him. As we've talked through this a little bit, what kind of order would you have the linebackers in? Do you have any preferences or guys you would jump up into the top like 5 or 6 pickups there that I didn't mention?
Yeah, not from what you have there. I mean, I could maybe see EJ Speed being that third one over Josh
Okay.
Woods, but I think
Yeah.
Barton, has the established production, so he's got to be number one. Mikael
Mhm.
Walker has a huge opportunity because someone has to tackle Ezekiel Elliott next week against the Patriots. And
Yeah.
then I like the play time and what we've seen from EJ Speed. He looks electric out there. He pops. So I'd probably have him at 3.
Okay.
Then Willie Gay is so predicated on if Nick Bolton comes back. Because if Bolton comes
Right.
back, right, we kind of know Gay who's
Yeah.
definitely a worthy player, right? Just more relegated to those deeper leagues than, the more shallow leagues. So, no, I think I like that list where it's at.
Absolutely. Top few picks on defensive backs. We've got Jair Brown from the 49ers, Derek Stingley from the Texans, John Johnson from the Rams, Jimmy Ward also from the Texans, Amani Hooker from the Titans, and that's where I'll cut it off. So, anybody below them that you want to call out that might be a more solid or equally as solid pickup in the top 5 or 6?
Yeah, I don't know if these are more solid, but I mean, Jabril Peppers has been very
Yeah.
good all year, talking like a top 12, top 15 safety.
Mhm.
Goes up against a floundering offense that is the Steelers. Granted, I think it'll be Mitchell Trubisky playing. So we'll have to look into the tape and look into some stats, see if
Yeah.
that's good or a bad thing. So just buyer beware there. Like, might be good or might be bad for Jabril Peppers in this upcoming week. Other than that, Brandon Jones,
Yeah.
monitor the injuries there in Miami. Jones has
Mhm.
proven that when he's the guy, he is the guy.
Yeah.
So I like him up there. Granted, those top 5 defensive backs we have in that list: Brown, Stingley, Johnson, Ward, Hooker. They've been really good for a decent amount of time. So I don't know if those other players are better than those 5,
Mhm.
but definitely worth consideration.
And then over to the defensive lines, a little light list. We've got Andrew Van Ginkel from the Dolphins, Tuli Tuipulotu from the Chargers, Samson Ebukam from the Colts, Tyre Tart for the Titans. 2 guys that I remember I highlighted were Kobe Turner from the Rams, definitely should be on there, along with Yaya Diaby from the Buccaneers. So that's kind of the top list. There's no one to kind of slide up or down there. Definitely just Van Ginkel and Tuipulotu with their playing time are multiple tiers above the rest that we mentioned, just because of their opportunity and playing time being in the 80 to 90% of snaps there. So, I don't know if there's just anything you want to add on to there or any guys you want to highlight.
Those are the guys. Byron Young, I won't
Yeah.
stop putting him there. He's like our
Thank
forever
you.
waiver
Thank
wire.
you.
He shouldn't be on any waiver wire anymore if you're listening to us.
Right.
But for whatever reason he is, him. Uh, Other than that, yeah, not a whole lot of things have changed uh, in a stable way to really trust anyone else. We know the Jeffrey Simmons injury is going to hurt there in Tennessee.
Mhm.
So we expect that to be Tier Tart. If it's not, we'll let you know next week.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think the defensive line is pretty stable.
Yeah, we might have to let the Titans game play out, unfortunately, too. But
Yeah.
we're pretty strongly assume because Tart has popped last year a little bit, so we're hoping he gets the shot to take over. Now, is he going to give you Jeffrey Simmons production? No, you can't just pencil that in. But if you're desperate for a DT play, then Tart could be your guy. So,
Yeah, and
all
I'll and
right,
I will
yeah.
and I'll be a little homerish too. Like Keon White getting that
Oh
much play
yeah,
time, like
yeah,
that's something to monitor. Definitely not go grab
absolutely,
and play right away. But in
right.
these last 5 games, which there are 5 more Patriots games that I have to watch this year because they're my team and I feel obligated to. If he gets that amount of play time, he might have a game that he helps you win something. So just monitor that.
All righty. With that being said, we are going to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the IDP Plus podcast. We really appreciate it. Building some steam here, even through the tough middle towards the end of the season, because we know your playoffs are picking up. So if you want that, customized help, specific questions, you need to become a subscriber over at idpguys.org. Get that direct access to the staff. Put your lineups in there. We'll help you figure out moves to make, who to start, who to sit, all that good stuff. So you can use our code IDP plus, that's a plus sign, pod, for 10% off any levels of membership. So Matt, you want to finish off with anything?
Yeah, and if you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, we have so many great shows going on now.
Yeah.
There's never been a better time to be a subscriber there. We have Waiver Wires. We have our lovely show there. We have Start Sit. We have the IDP. No, it depends. Some of that, some of the looking at you, Ricky. We have the IDP Lounge. We just want to come hang out with our personalities. There's a lot of really great shows, and there's plenty more coming, rolling into. Oh, we have the Offensive Points guys now doing all their awesome content. They're shifting more to Dynasty if that's more your scene.
Yeah.
There's never been a better time to come check us out over there, or listen to any in all those podcasts. So yeah, we love having you in the IDP guys family, and we want to help you as much as we can. So keep sending us your questions, keep being active participant, and we love being a part of your fantasy football lives.
Hell yeah. Steve Hungardner, the IDP Hunters, crushing Fantasy Pros rankings for IDP. So he's doing a show every week as well. So yeah, we're really excited to be bringing everyone this IDP centric content. Like I said, we brought on the Offensive Points guys who are just wizards at offense. I mean, we all like to tip our caps to offense too. We can talk offense, but those guys are just specialists, and in the dynasty realm are just awesome. So really appreciate everyone tuning in, and hope you'll stick with us for your fantasy football content needs here moving forward. So we'll see you next week, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching this IDP guys video. If you like this content and you want more fantasy football content, click here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos to help you master your IDP league, click here to subscribe.